Hey y'all, today I'm going to be putting together some deep hive bodies, and then I'm going to, she doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to get my teenager to paint them. So if you are into beekeeping or getting into beekeeping, sooner or later you're going to figure out that you need to at least have some basic, I don't even necessarily want to call it woodworking, but just some basic skills with a drill and a hammer, and you want to know when it's appropriate with beekeeping equipment to use nails and when it is not good to use nails. It is not appropriate to use nails when you are putting together a hive body, and that's because, I don't have one out here with me, I'm in the shop, but that's because when you have your hive tool, you're doing a lot of prying and jarring. You're doing a lot of prying with the hive tool, especially on the corners. And so if you have just nails, it's going to be really easy for those areas to come apart. I don't use wood glue because I'm using the screws. Now, if I were putting together frames, I would be using finishing nails, a hammer, and wood glue for putting together frames. But for putting together your hive bodies, and this is also called a deep soup or a deep hive body. For putting those together, for putting together your shallow supers and your medium or Illinois supers, you want to be using good quality screws. I'm using just whatever bucket of screws I found out here in the shop. We found that it's neck and neck to order these pre-cut as opposed to purchasing the wood at the store, especially with the deep hive bodies. Now, when you get into the shallows, you can start to see a little bit of cost savings when you're purchasing wood at a big box store and then cutting it. But just we found the few times that we've actually done it and priced it out, that for the amount of money that you're paying and the time that it's saving you, well, just basically even the money by itself, I mean, it's neck and neck, changes from year to year, but it is neck and neck with purchasing the raw materials and cutting them. So we get ours from Man Lake Limited, and they are pre-cut. I'm not gonna lie, I actually forgot what these things are called. Rabbits, I don't know. That sounds right. And they're handholds in the sides. So, and I actually like these better than when you make them yourself. There's a wooden piece of wood that you can put on the side and use as a handhold. I like these cut-ins a lot better. They're easier for me to work with. They also have pre-drilled holes in the, I'll call them rabbits today. I'm going to look it up later. I'll either have a good laugh or I'll be real impressed with myself. There are pre-drilled holes in here, which makes it a lot easier to assemble. So the first thing you do, and this is going to be overly basic for a lot of you out there, other persons that don't have any skills and don't really know how to do any of this. So that's what this video is for. Alright, so see that fit together just like a puzzle piece. You want to make sure that your handholds are facing up. You don't want to put this one on upside down. And then also there's a little lip on the short end. You've got two long ends and two short ends. There's a lip on the short end, and that's where your frames rest. So make sure that's up and your handholds are up. You see, this one does not have that lip because it's one of the long ends. It goes right here. And the reason why I have the hammer is because sometimes these cuts are a little snug. So I'm kind of running into that here. Try to get most of the way. Beat the daylights out of it. Just gently tap it in with a hammer if it doesn't go right in. And then some of this will be corrected whenever you start to screw it into place. And then the easy might be a little bit warped and a little bit swollen because they've been out here in the shop for, gosh, I want to say 2 years. I cannot believe that it has been 2 solid years since I put equipment together, but it has. I haven't needed it. We've been trying to get the farm going, and there are just so many moving pieces to a full subsistence farm, so many different animals and plant systems that most of my extra time has been focused on that. So the label that was on these is not on here anymore. I don't know, maybe that's 3/4. No, that looks like 1.5 inches. I would think you would want to have at least 1 inch long screw for this. If you don't want to get the pre-cut option, or if you are a die-hard DIYer, or you have a good deal on lumber, or maybe you've already got the lumber laying around in the wood yard or something, I will put a link below to plans for a hive. And I should note this, that I use Langstroth hives. And the reason why I use Langstroth hives is because all of the pieces and parts, you can mix and match them to some extent, much more so than if you've got a top bar hive. So if I've got a friend that needs a frame of brood, or I need a frame of brood, it's just super, super easy for me to grab that from them and put that directly into my hive. Okay, so here's another, like a basic tip. For a lot of you, it's gonna be, you're gonna be like, why are you even telling us that? When you're putting something together, when you're screwing it together in particular, you want to go diagonal, all right? So you don't want to screw all these in, and because that is going to shift the wood, even though you can't tell with the naked eye. By the time you get to that last corner, it may be all messed up. So you do opposite ends. So what I'll do is this one, I'll do diagonally on the other side, and then I'll do the centers, and then I'll try to do that on the back, and then I'll go through edge by edge and finish it off. But sometimes it doesn't make a difference. Sometimes you can get away with doing that. But sometimes if you can't get away with just going straight down, it's really, really irritating. So I like to always do opposite corners. And I actually, another tip, I do not tighten the screws all the way. So I'm not going to tighten them all the way until I get completely finished. Just make sure that the one you're putting your screw into, that it's lined up as good as you can possibly get it lined up. And then I stop as soon as it bites into that next piece. Like I said, I'll go back and tighten it later. So. Beekeeping is actually how I learned all of these things. So, you know, if you're a beekeeper and you're starting to get nervous or if you're looking into beekeeping and you're starting to get nervous because it looks like you're going to be building a lot of your equipment, don't get nervous. Be patient with yourself, and you know, if you make mistakes, that's okay. That's how we learn. So. Lord knows I've made mistakes, my share of mistakes, and I still make mistakes. I'm still learning every day. Just show you, these look like up close. All right, so there's my first screw, and then my other one on the corner is actually right there. But see, this side has pre-drilled holes also, so you'll be putting them in both faces. It got hot. I had to get a popsicle. Alright, so again, I'm just going around, alternating, not getting them super tight just yet. Yeah, I was gonna move these today, and I realized that this new apiary yard just needs way too much work. There are a lot of fallen limbs that are going to be in between me and where my hives are going to go, so that's going to be me pushing them with a dolly down there. I like to put my hives, a lot of people will space them the way they're, or place them the way they're recommended to be placed, which is in the full sun on top of the hill. We're in a cleared area. I like to put them to where, and now I've gotten screws in all of these corners, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and do each corner and finish it off, but I won't tighten it until I've went all the way around. Anyway, so I like to put them where it's going to make the most sense to me. So the most sense to me is going to be somewhere where my husband's not going to get stung while he's mowing the lawn. It's going to be somewhere where if I've had to do some pretty invasive stuff with the bees and kind of ticked them off a little bit, and that does happen even with mild-mannered bees, I want to know that they are not going to be in a location where it's going to be a problem for my kids or visitors. So I like a row of trees between the most human populated used areas and my hives. And that seems to work really well for us. In the cases where we can't do that, like our old place that we had that was only half an acre, and the bees were right there in the garden, it could be pretty miserable. Even though I love them, it can be pretty miserable to try to do what you need to get done in the garden and you're 2 feet away from the bees. I just found it works better if they're a little bit further back. And when I want to hang out with them, I can. And when I don't have to. And you know what? I think the feeling's mutual. Sometimes they don't want you rustling around right next to where they're at. Alright, so I'm just going to finish going through and screwing all these together, and I will show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, we're done. So there's the corners. Alright. Here's the inside. Now I'm going to put the rest of them together, and then I'm going to put them out in the sunshine on one of my new hive stands that my husband built for me, and I'm going to get my teenager to paint them. I should note, whenever you're painting, you want to make sure that you get extra paint here. So I actually go, before I start painting the whole thing, and I will paint the corners. It's because these are more absorbent, so you want to make sure that they soak up the paint so they're sealed against the weather. And then also I pay special attention to the handle, just because when you have it facing this way, it's really easy to not get paint right there. And then, so I'll do all the corners first. I'll do the inside of the handles really good, and then I will go over the whole thing with 2 coats of high quality non-toxic latex outdoor paint. So you can go with a no VOC. You can go, well, I don't know. I guess you can use VOCs, but I don't like to use paints with those in it because they are toxic to humans and to animals. So I don't want any off-gassing with my hive bodies because obviously they're going to have bees in them. So anyway, I will put a clip of the finished painted boxes after this video is over, and thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.